Well, welcome. This is our first roundtable discussion. Glad we can be together and joining you today as we kind of discuss discipleship pathways. And here at Calvary, our mission here is to, as a church, we exist to join with Jesus to transform lives. And in that transformation, one of the key things is discipleship making in our discipleship pathways. So let's get started. Let's dive right into this great topic today as we have some conversation around it. Matt, how does discipleship pathways serve our mission?
For sure, yeah. Thanks for asking that, Ryan. So discipleship pathways has been, since I was hired about a year and a half ago now, something that Ron and I have been talking about. Like what is the natural way of someone who is fresh to Calvary Church? How do they learn what we're about, learn our values, we call our pillars, learn how to grow with Jesus, and get involved in our mission of making disciples and helping people become disciple makers. And so what our discipleship pathway is it's a new thing we're going to be rolling out this fall now, where it starts off with that new person who's their first time at church. We're going to have once a month a Calvary 101. It'll be like a 10-minute thing after service where people can learn about Calvary and learn about what we're all about with making disciples and how to get connected and what's get involved in. And then after that, we'll have what we're calling Starting Point. It used to be the All-In class, and the All-In class previously was all about membership. And also had kind of an intense name. Are you ready to be all in here? Are you ready to, give everything to Calvary? But we kind of give a new name of Starting Point, of like, hey, this is where you get started. And it used to be all about membership, but now it's really about learning about our values, what we're calling our pillars, learning about how to live them out. The next step in our pathway is going to be called the Foundations class. And the first round, Ron and I are going to be teaching, which we're really excited about doing together.
Great.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And that's really where we learn about how to live out these pillars. And then the last class it won't actually be a class, it'll be these discipleship groups. And we've been doing them as a staff for the last year, and they've been really transformative, which has been fun to get to know our staff members better and really dive deep with 3 or 4 people of the same gender, going through a really great curriculum. And then, we want to open it up to the whole congregation. And so after someone goes through the Foundations class, where they're really learning how to live out these pillars, we hope that in community, in these groups of 3 or 4 people, is where they'll really learn how to internalize these pillars, to make them a part of their everyday life.
That's good. Matt, from a high level, what are these 3 pillars that you're talking about in our discipleship pathway that people will experience and know and grow in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, 3 or 4 years ago, we did this sermon series where it was a 3-year journey. The first year was on intimacy with God. The second one was on developing the character of Christ. Then the third was on joining Jesus in his mission. And so that's what these pillars are. They're nothing new, but we thought they were so valuable about how we live out discipleship here at Calvary. And so we wanted to take those 3 and make them really the pillars of our church, the things that we're going to build and really reorient or refocus, synthesize all of our things around. And so we want to see everyone at Calvary who's growing as a disciple of Christ to be growing in their intimacy with God, pillar 1, developing the character of Christ. We think that's really the best witness we can be, and really the best version of ourselves when we're more like Jesus. And then the third pillar is not just being changed for our own sake, but for the sake of others, of then joining Jesus in his mission.
That's good. Daniel, as a church planter, how instrumental has discipleship been for you?
It's interesting. When I was first interviewed at Calvary, Ron asked me over the phone, what is discipleship? And I described some version of connecting with God, knowing yourself, and going on mission. And I think that was maybe one of the things that developed some affinity, that if you don't have a really succinct way of helping people understand it, and you just pontificate over and over, no one's going to be able to track with you. And I think that's the goal as trying to reach people and trying to be able to say something quickly, succinctly, but as comprehensively, which is nearly impossible. This, I think, is a great bet at that endeavor to tell people very quickly what we're about.
That's great, yeah. Ron, what about you? What fruit, have you seen in the life of the church through these discipleship pathways?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. If you look at the 3 pillars you have, be with Jesus, love like Jesus, go with Jesus. And we've been developing those for the last 5 years. And now we have this pathway, which is really clear. It's simple. Anyone can kind of enter into it. And the goal is that no matter what you are going through, you're going to grow with your intimacy with God. You're going to love more like Jesus, and you're going to be more equipped and able to go on the mission of Jesus. And so I just think what we've done is we are making it simple. We're making it clear. And that's really been the work of Matt and his team, which is just extraordinary. And I think what people are going to be able to watch is this journey we have been on for several years that sometimes feels disjointed has been, in fact, the Lord leading us into something really clear, something really beautiful.
Yeah. Discipleship can be kind of a scary term, right? Especially for a new believer. So I think the question, Daniel, let me ask you is, who is this discipleship for? Is it for, the unbeliever, the new believer, the mature believer, the backslidden person? Who is it really? Who's this discipleship, discipleship pathways, who is it geared for?
I would say it's anyone who wants to grow. I think if there's a desire to grow and become like Jesus and really learn and lean into that, I would say the difference of my evangelism and discipleship is walking with someone who doesn't yet believe in Christ and wants to know about Jesus, and then someone who does believe in Christ but wants to go deeper. The path and the journey is very similar. The questions are not radically divergent. They really converge on, can I trust this Jesus? Can I trust his teaching? And if that's a question that someone's wrestling with, and they say, I want to go deeper, I don't just want to attend anymore, which attendance is not a bad thing, but I want to go deeper. I think it's anyone who's craving that, who knows there's more to life. And in fact, I knew I was called to go into a deeper relationship with Jesus when I was going to church, going to Bible study or connect group or small group, and thinking there's got to be more. And I think that was when I really found someone who had an answer for what that more could be. Yeah.
I think what's so cool about this is that we've actually changed the way in which we're keeping score. And so keeping score used to be, hey, if you go to church, if you give, if you go to a Bible study, the more you do that, the more we know you're a really good Christian. And what we're saying is those things are great and are examples of what it means to be a Christian, but are you in love with God? Does it show? Do you love like Jesus more than you did a year ago? Yeah. And are you on the mission of Jesus? And those are things that we can reflectively think about for ourselves and think about it as a church, that the win is growing in those areas. And I think that's really cool.
Well, and just the thought around discipleship, you don't have to get your life together, right? You don't have to check all those boxes to start being discipled in the church. I think sometimes there's that stigma of if I can get my life together, then I can kind of become that disciple, that follower of that. Dan, do you have any examples, just even from church at
Daniel's life is really messy.
Yeah.
So maybe you could share.
At Orland, that maybe you've walked through some people through some of these discipleship pathways that we've just seen the fruit from that.
So I think when you're spending time with people, you just sit with someone, hear what they're going through, pointing them back to Jesus. So I've got a few people that I meet with on a regular basis that are that long for it, and when I'm pointing them back to Jesus, they're like, "Yes, thank you for bringing me back to earth." It's kind of funny how heaven and earth combine in that moment of intimacy with God, and so those are the moments where it's I have nothing else to say, but let's just look at the word together. So those are those moments that break through. I think of another thing where many of the events or outreaches that we do at Oak Lawn are a fruit of discipleship. And what I mean by that is I'll have 3 or 4 people passionate about something who talk about something. And I say, hey, let's do it together. Let's journey together. Let's see this happen. And therefore an outreach it is about reaching the community, but it's just as much working with these 3 or 4 people who had a passion for something that I could get to see God move through them, and I get to be part of facilitating any amount of that my gifts get to bring to offer. And then lastly, I think in our Connect groups, we go a little deeper in the sense of trying to talk about our burdens, trying to talk about what we're going through. And that weekly rhythm, maybe it's not as deep every time, but that regular consistency of checking in and having a thermometer saying, where are you right now? Has been really formative for a lot of guys and a lot of the ladies in our group too.
That's great. Matt, where do we see practically for the person who's watching this right now and thinking about our discipleship pathways and this next step, what does that pathway look like for them? on how do they kind of engage with us in this way. Is it a class? Is it a serving? What does it really look like practically for people?
For sure. I think there's going to be a lot of different on-ramps for people, depending on how long they've been at Calvary. Like if someone is brand new this fall, then we really would encourage them to go to the Calvary 101, as their first place just to learn about Calvary. Someone's been here for a while, they're thinking about getting more plugged in, then maybe when we do the next starting point class, which was formerly All In, that'd be a great place for them to get plugged in for the weekend experience to learn our pillars. But really, someone's been here for a while and they know Calvary, they love Calvary, then we really would encourage them to do the foundations class. And that's really where we're going to learn about how to live out these values, how to really begin to embody them and internalize them. And then from there, I think that'll be the great place of getting people into discipleship groups. And we hope that these classes really, we'll be journeying with these people, building relationships so that, after that you can, join a discipleship group with not just a bunch of random people, but people you've already been sharing life with, and then go on to become a disciple maker through that.
I think for a lot of people, to give a plug for our class in October, the foundations class is going to be for people who are committed to Calvary, who really want to grow and who want to kind of hear what it means to be a disciple. Biblically speaking, that class is going to be extraordinary. And I'm hoping for a good turnout.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. This has been a great discussion around this roundtable of discipleship and discipleship pathways and kind of the next steps for the believers here at Calvary.
Thanks, Ryan.